Morning for us all. Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Tuesday the 3rd of May. 3rd of the 5th, as I was going to say. Anyway, let's have a look at these markets, and let's actually, before we look at the markets, quick look at the possible risks today, the events coming out today. Let's just pop that on. Okay, so Tuesday the 3rd of May then. And well, bank holiday, Japan, China, so probably light volumes over through the Asian session by quite light sessions through the that session. Then we've had the Australian interest rate. Now that's already come out. That was a positive surprise, 0.35 rather than the 0.25. Small increase, but no one was expecting an increase there. Good morning, Paul. Then what we got this afternoon, then JOLTS job openings. It doesn't get much of a view. It might get a little bit more at the moment. Aside that, really, then it's 10 p.m, 10:45. I won't be trading at that time of night, but if you are, watch out for the New Zealand employment report. Right. Let's move on then and have a look at the markets themselves. We'll start off looking at Forex as ever. Let's start off looking at a daily picture of the euro dollar. And the euro dollar at the moment, well, it's got this horrible bearish pattern trend. Can it survive from where it is at the moment? It's trying its best. That's a weekly pivot is above. It's doing its best. I watched it yesterday. I say watched it. I didn't watch it at all. I came back, looked at it, and I came back and looked at it a bit later, and that's all I saw. So there we go. Bit of a downward trend, sort of sitting through there. Okay, catching a bounce, a quarter bounce even. I personally prefer the downside. I think it's going to be a quite old day today. We've got the Fed's meeting tomorrow, and I think on that basis we could see something like the euro choke a little bit. So I'll step carefully today, but maybe a break of these lows. Yeah, I'm not really liking the bounce at the upside. I think it's really should be traded only on the downside at the moment, personally. So any bounces, I'll wait out. Moving on to the pound dollar cable, same sort of picture really. Quite a bearish move. It's held on a little bit, consolidating, but it's consolidating around the lows. Now, again, we could just be drawing a trend line across the lows there and looking for the breakdown there. Alternatively, it might try and work back to its weekly pivot here, or a bit further into its monthly pivot, which sits up there at 27.17. It would be a little ABC pattern, a little retracement, and that's a possibility. It was so weak last week for much of the time. The other, as I say, the alternative really is the trend across the lows. There's my preference is to be on the downside of this, but it might just set up a week, a little bit more of an upward move. Dollar yen, again consolidation. We're well into the 130s. Well, I say well into the 130s. We're in the early 130s at the moment. Just looking at here again, it's got that same sort of, well, it's an inverted pattern, but potential of it running back down towards its weekly pivot. Be surprised if it comes straight off to its monthly pivot, but it'll be interesting to see what the Fed do on Wednesday evening. So at the moment, as I say, it looks like the point of least resistance was really up to the upside, but whether that'll actually move, I'll have to wait and see there. I'd rather trade other pairs. I'm not really keen on the yen at the moment. The Aussie dollar, well, no surprises there. We've seen a bit of a move up there, bit of a surprise coming through. Whether that can push or continue to push through the Asian session, as much as a lot of parts of it are quite bearish, and certainly the chart, there is a chance I'm really coming out a little bit further than, yeah, actually the dailies have now been so bearish for longer than I expected there. Okay, it's bearish. We'll see. This could turn a little bit. I haven't read through the rest of the Reserve Bank of Australia notes there. It could turn a little bit, but and continue pushing up. But already through today into its weekly pivot. It's done its daily pivot all the way through into its R3. I think it's going to be a difficult one there to do too much with. I don't really want to be selling at the moment with that news that's come out there. To say it could be a game changer on the Aussie dollar, so on that basis I'll hold fire. Canadian dollar, well, Canadian dollar's having this sort of daily push up there. It was doing quite well. It's obviously in this big longer term bounce at the moment. This is another one that could start turning around. If we see a bit of dollar weakness, this is probably one of the ideal candidates to be trading against the dollar. But I'm sure it's got a bit of divergence running across, weak divergence across those highs. Again, it's in such a similar position. Maybe a bounce off the weeklies later, but really don't like what's there at the moment, and I'm just going to sit and wait on some of these. It's just the patterns that are just not right for me. So there we go. That's the currencies this morning. Let's have a look at gold. And come out to the dailies here. Now gold is looking quite bearish. Daily wise, it's broken the lows last week, broke the lows of the recent lows there, and it is looking just really quite soft. And currently moving down. That's the problem. It's already moving. Sort of. It's just come to the alley, and it's really just trying to break this range. It's not my favourite currency to be trading this early in the morning. Well, it is a currency of a type. I don't like trading the gold first thing because you just get more volumes as you go through into the sort of midday. The spot price is set around about 11ish, so 11.15. I would be sitting out of this for now. I think the risk is we've got the support that's just right underneath us there, and it just could find a bounce there. It has got the daily pivot above. Don't really want to be trading it on the long side when it's going against the bigger trend. So it could be a patient wait for that to see if it gets back there, and then maybe short into that. But awkward old day there. It's trouble when you have a weekend with a bank holiday in it. And you've got major news coming out. I forgot to mention that. So oil's a mess on here actually. It's got the hint of more upside. Got the hint of it, but it sort of rolled over and rolling over this morning. My preference, and because of the situation with Russia and taking Russian oil out of the equation, is what they're trying to do. A lot of countries, the risk is always to the upside here at the moment. So I'd be wary. The only thing that could save oil is a global reduction in production, and that could happen. The more people start forecasting that, the more likelihood we are to see that oil coming off here. But for now, higher lows on the bigger time frame. I'd wait until this afternoon to be trading Western Texas anyway. Right, okay, let's move on to go through the equities, and no, we'll do those next because I'll be a bit nearer 8 o'clock. Let's just do a quick zip through crypto then. So not a lot of excitement there at all. Just looking Saturday, Sunday, both up days fractionally, but still very much in a downward trend. So if you're trying to look for opportunities to buy, it still remains negative for me. I mean, Friday just carried on seeing that sell-off there. Just again, Ethereum the same. Ripple really very much the same. If you look in the short side, there may be some opportunities off some of these, but I'm looking at sort of long-term buy to hold sort of from that sort of view, and it ain't ready yet is the answer on that basis. And just looking through all these markets, Binance, I think Binance might come in a bit earlier than some at the moment. It's hasn't gone quite as low as some of the others, but relatively into its own price levels, but even this looks bearish at the moment, lower highs, lower lows. So afraid that's the story there on the crypto front. Okay, I best go on to the indices now then. Let's start looking at the Asian markets and looking at CSI 300, and well, a bit more of a bounce there today. Saw it starting last week. It put that key reversal bar in. It's sort of looking positive at the moment. And there's me looking for the idea of where to short it from. It's just, I just think it's got further downside to happen. As I say, maybe just a breath of just a bounce here more than anything else. Is not a significant change in the markets and we got on the holidays as well. In fact, that is still last week I'm looking at. Beg your pardon, it is still closed. So I'm looking at last week. This week might be a different case. And Nikki, let's just check. Maybe 2nd of May. Okay. So, and it's closed today. So we'll leave those. Beg your pardon. Just remembered bank holidays. Okay, let's have a look at Europe then, and the DAX. To me, it's still downward trend territory. I'd be looking at a trend line across the lows there. Maybe on the 4-hourly would be the best place to draw it across the lows there, and really looking for the downside. I think it's got these European markets quite bearish on them at the moment. The CAC is pretty similar-ish case. It did actually do a little bit better. But again, a trend line across those lows, and I'm short on the break there really. The pound, the FTSE, it's not quite open yet. If you really want to go looking for something to go long on, well, it's the FTSE's, and it's probably going to open up this morning. The FTSE's the better of the markets right away through. Sorry, I'm looking at an hourly, beg your pardon. There we go. Dailies wise, it's still one of the better markets right the way through. Picking up there on Friday and Thursday, Friday. Today, as I say, I imagine it's going to open up positively there. Already looked at the CACs and the DAX. Let's have a look at S&Ps, and well, this did pretty much what I was looking for on my other chart, looking for the break of the 4-hourly pattern. Bring that in. There we go. That was that rising trend I was looking at on Friday. That broke and rolled over. Futures at the moment, well, looking bearish. So it just continues looking bearish, looking for short opportunities each time. They're consolidating at the moment with the Fed meeting tomorrow. It might be a bit more consolidating going on today. The Nasdaq here, again, consolidation around these lows here, but to me they've got a better opportunity again downwards than they have upwards, and that's really what I'm looking for. So it's a bit of a patience. If we get any rallies today, I'm preparing to sell into those. Okay, that's it for me. I wish you a great day's trading, and probably a lot of patience you'll need today. I'll catch you later. Take care. Bye for now.